Welcome to Talk the Walk. I'm Sarah Wong. Crypto has become more than just an obscure buzzword, but an increasingly integral part of our life. Apart from the technological know-how, what are some of the legal implications when dealing with virtual assets? And is Hong Kong, an international financial hub, falling behind in the development of its own crypto ecosystem? Joshua Chu, lawyer and Chief Risk Officer at Coinllectibles, joins me now. He represented one of the world's largest crypto exchanges in Hong Kong's very first crypto litigation. It's a pleasure to meet you, Joshua. Thank you for coming on Talk the Walk.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, I've heard numerous versions of explanations as to what an NFT or cryptocurrency is, and I gotta say, none quite do the job for me. I wonder, can you right now briefly help us understand what are these virtual assets? Is there a different assets class in this sphere? And why should people living outside the professional realms of technology and regulations pay attention to them?
Well, I think the best way to explain what the differences between virtual assets, cryptocurrencies, and NFTs, we should really look in it like an onion. At the very outside, the entire thing is virtual assets. Virtual assets is basically any assets that exist in a digital form. Now, recently, cryptocurrencies, because of a number of factors, have become extremely popular. This has been triggered largely by a wide adaptation, namely last year when Elon Musk announced that Tesla would start accepting Bitcoin. It really held cryptocurrencies into the spotlight. Then you have NFT. NFT is non-fungible token. It's tied in a lot of times with a specific digital artwork, or in Fusion NFT's case, physical artwork. Now, NFTs, because of their nature, it's not cryptocurrency. It is crypto because it's built on the blockchain and has all the advantages of that blockchain offers, which includes the data being stored on the distributed ledger technology network, and it's immutable because it's stored in multiple locations. So no hackers can gain access to the file and edit it or change it, making it immutable in nature. Now, one of the reasons why NFT has been propelled into prominence is because of the whole concept of digital artwork that people, high net worth individuals, enjoy collecting. Just like any traditional artwork, however, take Picasso, for example. Picasso really became valuable artwork when you have celebrities owning it. The same thing is happening with NFT when you have Hollywood stars coming out and say they have collected the Bored Apes. And that is why we are seeing more and more of that coming onto the market.
Now, I know that part of the reason why Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies largely become so popular is because the surging interest of using these assets or investing on these assets as a hedge against the economic risk in the traditional markets, for example. And you mentioned NFT and its application in the art market. And indeed, we've seen art-related NFT sales grew 100-fold in value between 2019 and 2021. Now, there's been a substantial increase in interest among high net worth collectors, with 88% of those surveys stating interest in adding NFT-based artworks to their collections. And I wonder, that's a completely different picture than in the stock market, right? Where investor confidence towards virtual assets such as Bitcoin and Ethereum crash alongside the traditional tech stocks across the board. And I wonder, how do you gauge the potential of these virtual assets?
Well, first of all, you have to understand what are the advantages of NFTs compared to traditional art markets. Now, having done quite a few contentious collector's item litigation in the past, Chinese painting, for example, in the past, the way that the way that you examine the history of ownership to a Chinese painting is really you have to flip to the back of the painting and you examine the seals, which represented each high net worth individuals having owned that particular piece of artwork. There's a reason why the next generation of high net worth individuals are interested in NFT. It's because there's so much fraud as well as disputes in the art market that NFT is poised to solve. NFT is unique is that it's based essentially turning the title deeds part into putting it on the blockchain. It's immutable. You can trace who minted the very first NFT tied to that particular artwork. And you can, without having to doubt, trace who has subsequently owned it. It's all stored on the blockchain. Now, then turning to the next issue, a lot of people have been suggesting that NFTs can be an excellent hedge against volatility in the stock market, especially after we had such a bull run in 2021. Just like when you're buying anything, knowing what you're buying is very crucial. There's a reason why, despite the fact that various cryptocurrencies have tumbled down over the past few months due to a number of reasons, NFT has remained relatively stable. That's because most NFTs, like the ones we sell in Coinllectibles, which is tied to Chinese antiques face that you can see, there's an underlying value to these antiques, and it's not going to be subject to when you have a Ming Dynasty face or an imperial seal, which we have turned into NFTs, by the way, for sale. The underlying asset is not going to fluctuate in price. So yes, it is crypto, but without all the volatility involved. Now, of course, understanding the underlying asset behind the NFT will be crucial. We have all seen the rather ironic story about how we had this gentleman that bought the very first tweet, which is purely digital in nature. Of course, because of overly speculative in the value of the digital artwork, in that case, the tweet. Naturally, there's nothing. Naturally, the fluctuation is going to be much higher. But contrast that with the fusion NFT that we are selling, which are tied in with antiques, or the ones we have for film, where we have film IP NFTs. These all come with a valuation report, just like how you would have the full experience you get when you're buying an antique from Sotheby's or any of the major auction house. So that is why there is less likely to be a dramatic fluctuation in the value of those particular NFTs that you buy.
Interesting. Yeah, yes. Interesting. It sounds like from what you told me is that what an NFT does is that it essentially revolutionized the notion or the concept of ownership, right? And I wonder, and that's a big advantage, but I wonder what are some of the risks and potential dangers when we're dealing with transaction in a marketplace, in an NFT marketplace, for example. How do existing legal structures work in an NFT marketplace?
Now, here's a catcher, of course. Depending on where you purchase the NFT from, there are a host of associated risks. A lot of the NFTs that have been sold on the market in recent days, they lack any conveyancing of the intellectual property rights that is associated with the digital art themselves. So you have to really know what you're buying, because NFTs, at the end of the day, there are two aspects of it. There's the title deed that stands to revolutionize, but there's also the smart contract aspect, which is purely code. Smart contract is attractive in that it removes the human elements from performance of a contract. But unless your smart contract, it has all the legal elements in it that makes a legally binding contract, then when really the person buying a random piece of digital art on OpenSea, for example, will not have all the protection that comes with a fully fledged legalized smart contract. This is why one of the advantages that we offer here is that our NFTs are accompanied by a host of legally binding documents. And this is why I made the switch to this role, is because I really believe that we can drive forward a revolution in how transactions can be done using technology. What you see in the legal market, for example, is you see for even a simple sell and purchase a contract, it's now as thick as a phone book. It's not necessary. And we are setting the standard here in what are the legal elements that is necessary. We are making it paperless or nearly, as well as we are also leveraging smart contracts to do the automatic execution. So knowing one of the things that just like any purchaser on the market will have to do is, do you know what you're buying at the end? Yes, it's nice to say that you have bought an Bored apes, but do you know the underlying rights that has been transferred to you? Those are critical if you want to have ownership over something that you know you can preserve for value into the future.
All right, well, smart contracts and more. We'll talk more about that after the break. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.